All right, welcome to an episode of Between Plays, guys. All right, so basically, what we're going to be doing today is we are going to look at the cruise line industry, and basically, we're nearing an inflection point. If very hard to say, because it's all about a vaccine, right? Like it's all about a vaccine, and we've done a video on vaccines, and these cruise liners, they should be working. They should be rolling out. I know September 30th is basically when the CDC, where the no sale order terminates, is over. But these guys should be out already. I mean, we can go to Walmart. We can go shopping there. Yeah, I know people are going to say, yeah, but you're in a cruise line, you're in the ocean. It's very different. You can't get off of it. You're stuck in rooms. Very, very true. Very, very true. But, I mean, in the United Arab Emirates, all the health ministers already took a vaccine. And if that would have happened in Canada or the United States, where all of our health ministers would have taken a vaccine, we would have been going, well, then why isn't the rest of the world getting it? So the ones that are in early use or limited use, the ones that the health ministers took, yeah, I mean, it seems to me like there's a vaccine. But anyways, we'll wait for the CDC to make those kind of decisions. And we will just stick to the cruise lines. So we're going to be looking at the financial statements, balance sheets. And something that's very important here is that out of the three, Norwegian Cruise Lines, basically on May 6th, and I want just to read this article. Norwegian Cruise Lines. So Norwegian Cruise Lines raises over $2 billion after warning of a possible bankruptcy. All right. So a day after warning that it may be forced to file for bankruptcy, Norwegian Cruise Line on Wednesday announced that it had raised over $2 billion in funding to ensure that the company can withstand well over a year without revenue amid the coronavirus pandemic. So basically it raised it just over $2.2 billion in a mix of stock and debt. All right. So it says it'll give the company enough cash to outlast coronavirus and endure well over 12 months of voyage suspension in a potential downside scenario. Okay, so they were in hot water like in May, and basically that's like just 2 months after, because March was basically the hell month of the stock market, right? Didn't take very long, so they say they have over a year. All right, so anyways, so let's get down to this. So we're going to be looking at Carnival Cruise Lines, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian. So Carnival Cruise Lines is a monster of a company. 26.653 billion in retained earnings. Then we got Royal Caribbean with 11.5 billion in retained earnings, and Norwegian Cruise Lines 4 billion. Okay. When we get to assets, well, total assets of Carnival Cruise Lines is 45 billion, 30 billion for Royal Caribbean, and 16.5 billion for Norwegian. The liabilities, Carnival, you got 19.5, Royal Caribbean 18 billion, and then you have Norwegian at 10 billion. So if you look at the total liabilities, Carnival Cruise Lines has 19.5. Royal Caribbean has 18. Carnival Cruise Lines has retained earnings of 26.653 billion, Royal Caribbean 11.5 billion, and Norwegian. So just that alone is a pretty strong statement. We have operating expenses for Carnival Cruise Lines of 4.6 billion, Royal Caribbean of 3 billion, and then Norwegian of 2.8. So the trailing 12-month, okay, in revenues, so the last 12 months, in revenues, Carnival Cruise Lines made 17 billion in the trailing 12 months, Royal Caribbean 8 billion, and Norwegian 4.6 billion in the trailing 12 months. Then if we look at deferred revenues, so for those of you who don't know what deferred revenues is, basically people paid for a service, a product or a service. In this case it would be most likely a service, and they have to render that service at a future date. So it's like prepaying for tickets, you know? So it shows up as a liability on the balance sheet. But of course, once a service is rendered, it becomes an asset. So under these deferred revenues, 5 billion for Carnival Cruise Lines, 3.5 billion for Royal Caribbean, and 2 billion for Norwegian Cruise Lines. Now the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, Carnival's got 5.4, Royal Caribbean 3.5, and 1.8 for Norwegian. The trailing 12-month cash period for Carnival, 7 billion, 4 billion for Royal Caribbean, and 2.2 billion for Norwegian. Earnings are forecast to grow 107%, 0.11%, so 107.11% per year for Carnival. 62.9. Oh, well, this one over here is earnings are forecast to grow 83.08% per year, so just a little bit less. And for Norwegian, its earnings are forecast to grow at 91.01 per year. Naturally, if you just do the last few months alone, nothing's gonna look good, because they had, like, you know what I mean? They were not really going so well, if you know what I'm saying. So basically, out of these three, the monster here is Carnival Cruise Lines. Doesn't really necessarily mean that because they're the monster, that the financial health of the company is going to be the best. But when you look at it overall and you compare it to three, I mean, physical assets on the balance sheet here and the liability to equity for Norwegian versus physical assets here of Carnival Cruise Lines, 20 billion of debt. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's because it was rounded out, but yes, absolutely. But I mean, when you look at their assets, the equity of 20 billion. So yeah, because this is up to date now. All right, so that's right. So this one's right up to date, right on the numbers here. And I mean, you got equity on the balance sheet of Royal Caribbean of only 9.5, and then you have 4.3 for Norwegian. Let's see what's going on over here. well, 7 years of management tenure, 7.3 years average of management. So Carnival and Royal Caribbean have about 7 years of management. Age average is 61 years old, and 4 years for Norwegian, and about 53 years old is the average age there. And when we go to ownership, Carnival Cruise Lines has 53% institutions that are involved in the shares. Royal Caribbean 65, and then when you get into Norwegian, it's 49%. The general public in Carnival is 23%. General public is 19% in Royal Caribbean, and general public is basically 50% in Norwegian. Look, the research extends way beyond these balance sheets. I mean, they're all, ditching old boats, right? Cruise liners. And I mean, I saw some videos on, I don't want to say the companies exactly, just because of the fact that it's hard to try to be, how can I say it, trying to be impartial here, right, as much as possible. And but as well as give out the pertinent information. And Carnival Cruise Lines has a whole bunch of boats, like 10 boats or something like that, coming in, and they're going to be using like zero emission type boats. And they had gotten rid of a whole bunch of boats, and the way it was portrayed that they got rid of their boats, it looked like, oh my God, basically the company is in the dire straits, or Carnival Cruise Lines got rid of like 2 boats, oh my God, everybody freak out, God, those things are damn old, like built in 1993, 95, like, yeah, no kidding, they got rid of it. They've been around like for eons. It's like it's old tech. I mean, what do you want to do? You want to keep around boats in the 1980s? Hey, let's keep boats. Carnival Cruise Lines was founded in 1972. Let's just keep those boats then. I mean, how naturally we're in the year 2020, and everybody's going towards this, green, zero net carbon, zero emissions, and you're gonna freak out because the future boats of Carnival are like, and the other ones are well as well, because it's an industry that's going to be adapting to zero emissions. Okay, but you're looking at liquid natural gas, liquefied natural gas, hydrogen fuel cells, and you're also looking at lithium ion batteries. So yeah, so you're going to be needing a lot of nickel, and they've decided to go with hydrogen fuel cells as well, because we know that a lot of these companies, and there's even car companies that are doing it, that because they want people to be able to have like a very long distance, right? So with the cruise liners, they're going mixtures, like, it's not that one boat's going to have only that. No, it's going to be a combination. And when you look at the boats, the cruise liners, wow, they're absolutely just insanely. I can't even use a proper word for it, because you can't say beautiful, because then I would be neglecting how much fun it looks like. It's wow. Honestly, guys, you need to go to these websites and just check this out. Like, check out what they got going on. I mean, their theaters that they have. I mean, the concert halls, the games. I have friends that go on cruise lines, and they don't do anything else. Every single year, like clockwork, they're on a cruise liner. And you know what? They went in January, February, March. They went, and then they came back and they were off the ship for 14 days, and everything was fine. I mean, naturally, they got lucky, too, at that point. But when you look at the fact that the vaccine's around the corner, and that every single person that I know that goes on cruise lines are getting back on a ship immediately, as fast as possible. Look at the deferred revenue here. They owe these services to these people. These are prepaid tickets, basically. I mean, it's basically what it's saying. It's deferred revenue. So, naturally, we are getting far ahead. May, June, July, August, September. October. My friend put it a certain way. Like, he was like, Royal Caribbean is like if you got kids and you're with the family and the whole nine yards. Carnival Cruise Lines is a little bit more like, but I didn't see that in the videos. Like, Carnival Cruise Lines, meaning that it was more like hip and more fun type stuff, and Norwegian has its own atmosphere as well. But after seeing all the videos, I mean, it didn't seem like that. Like, I guess it's just a person's opinion of it, because I didn't see that. They all looked like a lot of fun, and they all look like you could have your family. It just depends on what you're going on. And when you really look at this, all right, basically, they all have like different cruise liners and stuff like that. So right now, if you look at, I'm just going to pick this one in particular, Costa Cruises, all right? Basically, Costa Cruises is under the CCL brand, all right? And let's go for the news here. So we got the new itineraries, right, for 2021. And we have here is Carnival Corp's Costa Cruises to restart cruising September 6th. So you're saying, well, how is that possible? Well, let's see here. This is plans to sail again in starting this weekend. So let's go get something a little bit fairly more new. 3 days ago, and it says here, as Costa Cruises gradually resumes sailing, it has revised its itineraries for April through November of 2021 to extend operations in the Mediterranean and return to Northern Europe. Basically, just give me a sec. So here we go. This is what I'm looking for. So Carnival on detailed restarting plans with Costa and Ada. All right. Having re-entered service in the Mediterranean with Costa Cruises earlier this month, and with Ada set to launch service in October, Carnival Corporation has outlined some of the elements of the protocols its brands are following. The company said further that with the Costa brand having restarted cruise operations this month in Italy, its learnings and best practices would be shared amongst its additional 8 cruise line brands as well as the rest of the industry. Basically, the Costa Cruises was sailing. So, what does that tell you? I mean, we got health ministers taking a vaccine out in the United Arab Emirates. We have early use and limited use of a vaccine, and we have the ships that Costa cruise already sailing in Italy, where we know was a disaster, right? In the very beginning, it was horrible, like what was going on over there. And you got all this going. So what are we waiting for? I mean, naturally, it's basically we're waiting for something over here, but there's so many different vaccines that are going to be coming out. Listen, I don't want to get into a stock when it's already really high. It's I mean, if you can buy it and it still goes much higher, then that's fine, and then buy and dip or something like that, depending. But I mean, if I can get into a stock at the prices they're at now, for sure. I mean, did you see the averages of these companies? What they the last few years? Let's check this out. So basically, if I take the last 5 years, I got Carnival Cruise Lines basically at a max of $72, $71.94 for Carnival Cruise Lines, all right, over the last, this was about 2018. But if I try to look at the average here, let's just say if I go like this, you're looking at about $55. So that's really, really good. And with the amount of people that are in the stock market right now going into these, like everybody's gonna be playing this for sure. And I use the word playing because a lot of people are going in here just to buy and then make money and then get out. If you look at Royal Caribbean, their max height here that I got off of this sketch is $135, all right? But they're already pretty high now. They're like 68 or 66, $68 a share. And then when you go to Norwegian, their max height was 63, the max amount was 63 over the last 5 years, 63.76. So you're gonna have great returns on all three. I have money in Royal Caribbean, and I have money in Carnival Cruise Lines. That's what I did. Those are my choices, my opinion for where I wanted to set my money. I did have money in Norwegian until basically this morning, and that's just it, because I don't know if they're going to do extend the no sale order because COVID is increasing here in North America and also across Europe and stuff. But at the same, so they might, you never know. Although there's like early use and health ministers taking vaccines. So it's like one part of the world is doing something and another part of the world is doing something else. And there's, dosages of vaccines that are already ordered all around the world. So you're like, well, okay. I mean, if the vaccine is, why would countries be ordering, vaccines all around the world of a certain type of vaccine if they didn't already know, like the government didn't already know that the results up to now are fairly good. So if I was a government and I have to, say, okay, which vaccines am I going to buy? Of course, I'm going to get in touch with them. We're going to be talking, and then we're going to be going, okay, well, right now, this vaccine has absolutely, it's just fevers, some chills, and maybe some muscle aches and pains. But besides that, it works, it's effective, it creates antibodies, and and that's all it is. So of course, as a government, I'd be like, well, then order me like, so we're in, let's say in Canada, I'd be like, all right, so I got like 35 million people here, order me like 200, million vials of that stuff because I just want to make sure I have a whole bunch more, in case we need it. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, and then you have Barclays talking about inflection points, and Yahoo Finance is putting that on, and then Motley Fool's talking about that as well. So, I the amount is I put everything that I had in Carnival Cruise Lines. There's CUK as well that you can get at 12 something, I believe. CUK is probably at. Let's take a look at that. CUK is right now at 1280. So after hours went up again. So at 1280, you have your Carnival Cruise Lines, which is at 1531. After hours, it dropped down like 2 pennies. And of course, Royal Caribbean is, in the 60s. RCL is in the 60s. Yeah, so 66.26 after hours. And then you have your NCLH, Norwegian, which is at 16.68, and it's going up after hours. And of course, if the no sale order isn't extended, all three of these companies, you can invest in all three. You can take, it doesn't matter really in the end because they're all gonna grow, and their top heights are pretty much similar. Because yes, you're gonna say, well, that's not true because Royal Caribbean is at like, they can go to like $140. Yeah, but you're also buying the stock at 66, right? So I'm just saying that, probably with CCL and with Norwegian, you can make more return by, by flipping it a few times more. But look, if the no sale order isn't extended, I mean, all three of these, no problem. But I went with Carnival Cruise Lines, CUK, all right, because I could have got stock at a less expensive price, so I can increase my share volume. And I've been in Royal Caribbean since March. Same thing with CCL in reality. I just kept on, every time I had made profits somewhere else, I just kept on dumping more into these ones here. So, and I was in Norwegian until this morning. And only reason why I took it out is because I don't know if there's going to be an extension on a no sale order because of the coronavirus. And that's it. So I put it into CUK instead. So listen, guys, that's it on this one here. So you know what my opinion is. You know what where I invested in. But like I said, if the no sale order isn't extended, all three of these are great. The future is bright for all three as well, and it doesn't really matter because, as Norwegian themselves said, in May they have enough cash on hand to last them well over a year. So we're looking from May to May, and they say well over a year. I mean, we're not even close to a year yet, right? So it's all good. But my place. So there you go. So listen, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and do your research, invest wisely. So, and research, plan, and execute, right? So that's just it. So hit the like button. I'll be adding the vaccine video over here, so in case for those of you that haven't seen the vaccine one. And have a good night, guys.